You're gonna come up with one, you know.
Okay,
You ready? Call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum, 5:32 PM. And, Will and Anderson, Lighthouse Church, yeah, there he is. I thought I saw you come
hiding
in.
back here.
Staying in the background, staying out of the line of fire.
Okay, if you'll lead us in a pledge and a prayer, please, sir.
Yes, sir. We could all stand. Let's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could just remain standing, we'll pray. Lord, we thank you for this great day and for the wonderful people of this city, for Breckenridge. God, I just pray over our minds and our hearts today, Lord, that you would just allow us to make wise decisions. I thank you for the finances and all of the ability you've granted us to do the things that we have done. God, I pray over all these great people here today that you would grant us wisdom and that your hand and your presence will be here with us in this meeting tonight. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll be here. I'm just all the ladies can have a seat.
We'll go to the open forum.
Agenda Speaker David Ratliff with CWS.
Right out the gate. huh?
Right out, there you go.
How y'all doing this evening? Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, City of Breckenridge, thank you for letting me speak here tonight. I'm David Ratliff, County Waste Service. I'm Director of Business for them. And it has kind of come to our understanding that you guys may be going out for RFP coming up real soon. And I would highly recommend that you guys do that. It's very good for the city, because what happens is your incumbent Republic or AEL or ourselves will come in, and what it does is it causes everybody to sharpen their pencil a little bit. And so we'll come in and we'll all kind of do our thing in front of you, tell you what we'll do for the city. But I just want y'all to understand, we're the local guys. You know, we're the guys going against the big Walmarts, the Republics, and we have done a very good job coming around and gaining these municipal contracts. We have Holly, we have Anson, we have Ty, we have Merkel, we have Bangs, we have Comanche, we have going around my geographical, we just got Rising Star. So we're the guys that come in and just give you great service. That's what we do. Our company was started by Ethan Kunkel right down the road. He comes up here, he shows pigs, and so we're familiar with this area. He did it out of a repurposed cattle trailer. And we did business with a handshake, and he's real big on our customer service. We have fantastics. Google us compared to the other guys. We want to be able to come in here and have a chance to earn your business. One of the things that I do kind of bring up here is this is what we look like. We're the ones with the tan cans. We tried to do these to make it aesthetically pleasing for the town, so you don't have anything big blue or green flashing out there. So it's one of the things that we do. And out here in West Texas, we're close to the largest wind farms in the world. All of these are the same size. They're all 96 gallons. We make ours a little shorter, a little wider. That way wind's not blowing them everywhere. But we left some information guides with Jessica over here, and y'all feel free to look through them. But we can't wait to come up here and show you guys what we can do once y'all go out for RFP. Now, the only thing I would suggest is, I believe y'all said bids due by May. I know y'all haven't announced it, but what happens if you guys end up choosing somebody and you go live in August? What we would end up doing is ordering all new containers for the town. I think we've got the bid in Comanche, and it's roughly the same population you guys. I think we ordered like 2,400 containers. Those containers take about 4 to 6 weeks, because we provide the city with brand new. We want you to have brand new everything. So if your bid selection, I would make it 3 months out to your start date instead of 2 if it's possible. Cause that would just, that would make it easier for deployment and everything, regardless of who it is. Obviously, if it's Republic, they've already got y'all out there, but if it's us or an AEL or something like that, I would just really look at that. But that's all I've got tonight. And, I thank y'all for letting me be here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That's the only speaker we have for open forum.
All right. We'll go down to special presentation and announcement. Item 1, presentation of film-friendly Texas certification from the Texas Film Commission.
Okay, Mayor, and Commissioners, well, I'm really pleased that we have Adriana with us, tonight from the, Texas Film Commission Office of the Governor, and she's gonna make her presentation. We appreciate you. She drove 5 hours to be here, so we appreciate that.
So do not make me nervous, guys. Drove a long way. Good evening. My name is Adriana Stowers. I'm the Panhandle Regional Representative with the Texas Economic Development and Tourism Office of the Governor. I'm happy to be here today to recognize the city of Breckenridge for achieving your film-friendly Texas certification. We want to thank Cynthia Northrup with the city of Breckenridge for all of her hard work and coordination in this process. Thank you to the mayor and members of the council and all city stakeholders for their support in realizing this exciting initiative for the city of Breckenridge. You join over 175 communities across the state and have positioned Breckenridge to provide media productions with an increased assurance that Breckenridge is industry savvy and serious about welcoming their business to your community. You are prepared to accommodate on-location filming activity and match Breckenridge businesses with media production related needs and services. The Film-Friendly Texas certification helps to create jobs for the local community and bring production investment into Breckenridge through spending on local goods and services such as catering, construction supplies, transportation, lodging, and more. The Texas Film Commission is a division of the Office of the Governor's Department of Economic Development and Tourism. It was created in 1971. Our mission is to promote Texas as a premier media production destination. Film Friendly Texas is a statewide network of communities and exemplifies our state as a media production friendly destination. Between 2007 and 2024, through the Texas Moving Image Industry Incentive Program, the Texas Film Commission attracted $2.5 billion in local spending and created more than 189,000 production jobs across the states. This statewide economic impact would not be possible without the help of film-friendly Texas community partners such as yourselves. With this certification, Breckenridge now has created additional opportunities to showcase some of your signature locations, such as Breckenridge City Park, Lake Daniel, Breckenridge, Texas YMCA, and Tipton Ranch. Just a few examples of what Breckenridge has to offer. The Film-Friendly Texas certification demonstrates the city of Breckenridge merchants and residents have collaborated to announce Breckenridge is indeed ready for production. On behalf of the Texas Film Commission, congratulations on becoming the next film-friendly Texas community. And hopefully Taylor Sheridan will find y'all and start filming something. Here's some certificate.
Mayor, do you wanna come up and have her present that?
You're the one that did all the work.
Okay, it was actually, Jessica and I that, Jessica, if you wanna come up here, you guys allowed it, so we appreciate that. It's a team effort, so we appreciate it.
No, I'm glad. I'm excited for you.
How come this way?
Okay, thank you, baby.
So it's right here.
See right there, ladies. Let me get a good angle. Beautiful. There we go. My angle.
It's still my big thing. My God. My God, I feel like you were down.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to item 2, presentation of Distinguished Service Award for Katie Turnbull. And we'll turn that over to the chief of police, I guess.
Thank you very much. David, come on up. Katie is a dispatcher with the police department. On November 22nd, we experienced our our last, homicide in some time. Katie, while working dispatch by herself that night, took in the initial call, dealt with all the chaos that comes in with that type of a call. Ended up, getting our officers on. It was a extensive amount of call out and getting people going. There were still people continuing to give calls. On top of that, later on in the evening, we ended up getting a call from the suspect, who was at large at the time. We were looking for him. And Katie, while working on the phone, took that phone call, ended up staying with him on the phone for an extensive amount of time, assisting law enforcement. In this case, our neighboring county ended up coming out and with her assistance, she was able to keep him on the phone, get a location, and was able to keep him on the phone until officers were able to get there in force to be able to go grab the officers. I've been very fortunate. Katie was a person who worked with before I got here, but I can tell you that Katie is probably one of the most intelligent and probably one of the best assets that we have within our communication center. And her excellence has not stopped at that point. She continues still to do the things that make us a better community. And she represents the values of what the Breck community and what our core values are within our place. So it is my honor to bestow upon you, Katie, the Distinguished Service Award for your actions above and beyond the call of duty. And like I said, you are just an asset to us all, and we are a very fortunate community to have you here. Thank you. Let's step right over here. Small from you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Katie. Yeah, ironically, just so y'all know, Katie was dispatching right up to about 10 minutes before she got here. And there's still the expectation, you're gonna go finish, right? It's an amazing thing that when we're all sitting at home or doing our things on the holidays, these are the people that are sitting up here answering those phones and making us safe. So we are very blessed to have committed people in our community, and Katie is the example of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll go to staff report and turn it over back to city manager.
Okay, thank you. So we have the engineer here tonight. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Let me do the staff report first. Employee of the month. So I'm gonna have you stay up here. Got the employee of the month first.
Thank you very much. Heath, come on up.
Yeah, you don't get to sit. You
Yeah.
get to stand.
No, we acknowledge exceptionalism. We don't, and we are very fortunate to bring forward yet another example within our community. In the short amount of time that Heath was one of our newer hires that was just brought in October.
God, don't get me. I just show up.
Yeah, it's ironic, it really does. So in my preparation for what Heath has done since being with us in this short amount of time, I can tell you that I had written down that Heath had 10 DWIs in a short amount of time, and since putting that number together, we're up to 12 now, just in the short week that I've done that, right? Yeah.
I think you got a couple more coming.
That's what I'm saying. I could just tell you that the enforcement that we're experiencing with Heath brings forward, although he's not as old as some of the folks like myself, I can tell you he brings forward a knowledge that far exceeds the amount of time that he's been a police officer. He came to us from Brownwood, but he has lived in our city. And he has been a favorite son. And ironically, as we present him with Employee of the Month, his mom won Employee of the Year last year. So, I mean, he's got tall shoes to fill there. So we look forward to that. But like I said, he's everything I've ever asked him, he's done. He continues to work and lead our way in narcotics. He continues to work under the tutelage of our criminal investigations division. Like I said, he brings forward a knowledge. He's been writing warrants. He's been, like I said, DWIs at a level that we haven't had since since the mayor has been, got off the streets, so we're very fortunate to have that type of enforcement. So like I said, the best thing I can tell you is our streets are safer because we have Officer Oakley working for us. And it is a testament to the fact that he has a commitment not only to his community, but to the job. And he continues to be that person. So it is with a great honor that I offer this certificate to you as the Employee of the Month. And I do not anticipate this will be the last time he comes before this committee for this stuff. So I thank you very much. There you go. And you got a subway card there. Thank you. No, what you did? Oh, yeah. First base.
Very good. We'll turn this back over to the city manager.
Mayor. At this time, I wanted to give you guys an update. We've got our engineer here, Sage Diller is here from EHT. And I'm gonna have him give you an update on a couple of projects. One is gonna be the update on the TWDB project and that status, and then I'll come back to the lead service line. But if you remember, last year in January, we held an open house and we were talking about all the different projects that were coming down the pike, and the TDB, wastewater lines, wastewater treatment plant and water treatment plant improvements, were discussed then. So I just want him to give you an update. As is par for course, when we have funding, it's a great blessing to have the funding from the state on these, but it does come with, certain systems and processes that have to be followed that sometimes elongate that process. So Save you up on that one.
Thank you, Cynthia. Mr. Mayor and commission members, good to see y'all. It's been a little while, so I'm proud to be here tonight. So Texas Water Development Board projects that are currently under design or with the Water Development Board. There's one on the water side, which is drinking water, state revolving fund, and one on the wastewater side. The water side is a little bit further along. Actually, it's been submitted to Water Development Board for review. We received TCQ comments today. We'll address those. So we anticipate approval of the design plans, I'd say in the next couple of weeks. At that point, we'll work with the city on scheduling bid dates to advertise that project for bidding. That'll be water line replacement in different portions or various areas of the city. On the wastewater side, we're still working on the planning phase. We're waiting on Texas Water Development Board to approve the EFR, the engineering feasibility report that's been submitted. We received comments this at the end of last week, so we anticipate that approval coming in the next couple of weeks. We've already moved ahead on the design of the wastewater system improvements, which would be at the wastewater plant and for primary lift stations. So it's not going to take us very much longer to complete the plans once we get the preliminary or the planning phase approved by the Texas Water Development Board. So that's an update on those two currently funded projects that are in design. And then I think Cynthia's probably shared with you, but middle of December, the city is being invited to apply for funding. This is the water loss mitigation project through Texas Water Development Board. You're eligible for it's a $5.7 million project at 70% grant. That's another great opportunity to replace a bunch of leaking water lines. The city still has a bunch of cast iron lines out there. And so this funding is intended to continually replace those. Cities doing a good job on those projects, trying to reduce water loss and address those cast iron lines that cause most of the leaks in the system. So this should just be another funding opportunity. And so you'll be getting more correspondence from Texas Water Development Board for that offering, and we'll look forward to moving that one forward. So that's all I have on that. Anything else I need to cover on?
Did you mention, so on the water side, we've got water line replacement plus some improvements to the water treatment plant?
They're at the water treatment plant and then at the intake structure at Lake Daniels.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay, so,
I know this has been brought up before, but, when they started on 183 north, started digging those pipes up. There were some here at the office that had those water pipes dated 1906. That's how far, and no wonder there was a jillion leaks and problems and health problems too, so.
Okay.
And the fact that we may be able to get a good grant on that would be great.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that would be great, it sure enough was, so, yeah.
okay, so there's no other questions on that from y'all? Okay, so the lead service line replacement project, so we've been talking about that for several months. And if you guys remember, this came down from federal legislation, and, you know, through the TCEQ. We were looking at going out for, TWDB money for the inventory. Remember, it's in two parts, inventorying all the lines. And the high level purpose of it is to identify any lead lines and replace them, service lines. So, the first part is inventory and the second part is construction. So we were looking at going out for, the TWD funds for that. However, we found out that we were hoping to maybe, submit the back truck as a project and get reimbursement from that, but that wasn't, because that's the equipment we would use to do the inventory. However, we weren't able to do that. So, the deadline for that inventory was October. We did not meet that deadline. It is a big project because you're literally going to every service line. And remember, we're talking about from the water main to the house is the service line. In between is the water meter. So the public service line is from the water main to the meter. And then the private service line is from the meter to the house. So essentially what we're looking for is it poly, is it PVC, is it copper, is it lead, is it galvanized? So we have had our crews out there and we've actually also contracted out, a crew to help with that. We were required to send out a letter that everybody got because we didn't meet the deadline. So we had to put unknown. It doesn't mean that people have lead service lines. And in fact, we've created a website where all this information is. I mean, it's on our website. So there's a page there to look all this up. But, in fact, these are anecdotal stories. Unfortunately, we don't have the actual records, but, in talking with the foreman of the water collections, Billy Smith, he's estimating that we probably replace 5 a month since 2001. So every time we have a water leak and they see lead, they're replacing. So we're estimating that over half of our connections, we have roughly 24, have been replaced since that time. That comports with, we also went to, you know, we had that meter replacement program, if you remember a few years back. And so we went to them and asked them, okay, I know this has been a while back, but do you remember how many lead lines did you come across? Can you give a rough estimate of the types of lines? So just, again, anecdotally, he was saying probably very few lead lines were out there, probably about 50% galvanized, and the rest would be a mixture of PVC, copper, or poly. And so that kind of matches with our internal. So what we're doing now is we're doing the actual inventory and we're creating an interactive map, and we will post that map online so people can go in and see. We are asking folks, we have submitted that inventory, by the way, with the unknown, but we're going to go back with this report. We're working with one of his folks to create the information for the map and the report. And then, even though we have 3 years now to submit that, but we hope to have that online interactive map for people to look at online and see where they're at, although we don't suspect there's a huge problem. However, if it's galvanized, the other thing with this legislation is if it's galvanized, you have to be able to answer the question, was there lead upstream or downstream? And virtually not many cities can answer that in any certainty. So we have to say unknown, and given that, pretty much all the galvanized will probably have to be replaced. I just kind of wanted to, that's what staff has been doing, but I wanted the engineer here, I want to Sage you to kind of go on about, you know, the high level, the program and some of the challenges with that legislation that are ongoing. Even the construction timeline is changing.
Sure, yeah. That's a good summary. And, you know, this has been every city in Texas is facing this type of issue of doing this inventory, and it's a challenge. It's been a challenge for a lot of them. In fact, the last time I saw a report, I think only 40 to 50% of the entities had reported in time. Everybody's still kind of working on it. And it kind of seems like the goal line is kind of being moved a little bit, especially with some of the funding coming down from the federal government and then to the Texas Water Development Board. You know, with that funding opportunity, we were thinking, originally they had said that the city would be able to qualify for a vacuum trailer to help identify these lines. Well, then they came back and the federal government said, no, that's not going to qualify. So that really impacts the validity or the benefit of applying for the Texas Water Development Board inventory funding. And really, once you have already, the city's already spent the time and effort, already submitted the inventory to TCEQ. So really, we're looking at reimbursement, and it's just not in the city's best interest, if you ask my recommendation, to pursue the funding for the inventory since you've already done it. Now, with all of the galvanized lines that are out in the system and how that, as Cynthia mentioned, that kind of gets categorized into an area that has to be replaced. That's going to be a substantial cost, and there's going to be funding out there that you could apply for. And that funding will most likely be 50% grant and 0% interest on the remainder of it. But it'll be a significant project and sizable one. And I believe they're allowing 10 years to address those, something like that. And again,
I think the current deadline is 37, is that?
37, 2037.
I think.
Something like that, yeah. So, and actually that length of time has been changing with guidance as it comes down from the federal government as well. So, and just to reiterate, you know, I know a lot of notice gets sent out about this inventory and when it's kind of unknown, it doesn't mean that there's lead in the system. It doesn't mean that your line is made of lead. I mean, there have been maybe a handful of the regional cities we've dealt with. There have not been many lead lines out in these systems. Most of them have been galvanized. But the way it is categorized in the TCQ system, if you can't definitively say there's never been a loose lead fitting or gooseneck or anything upstream, it has to be galvanized, which is shown for replacement. So it's a little bit, say, misleading on that notice that goes out to the public, but it's just that's the TCEQ process that the city has to follow. City's been doing a good job of trying to refine that list into meeting the TCEQ requirement. So that's making good progress. It's just it's a large undertaking. And cities.
Well, I think, I don't know if you want to talk to this, but I mean, we also, just as a reminder, every 3 years, we do lead and copper testing required by the TCEQ. And so we've always met that. And then we also do monthly testing as well. And so, you know, we haven't met that limit at this point. However, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but they're even looking at lowering that limit level for lead.
Correct, yes, and you know,
target.
yes, and then you know, they seem to always be lowering the allowable limits in water quality and constituents that are in the water, which makes it harder for systems to comply, which means they have to spend money. And a lot of this, you know, program started back a few years ago with Flint, Michigan, which was, you know, it was a water quality issue. Not necessarily a service line issue, but the federal government, how they are addressing it is throwing a bunch of money at it to all the states and saying, you must replace these lines. And so that's kind of how we are in this situation in Texas is part of this large service line replacement project. So.
What, Saints, what kind of timeline do our cities have? No, you said something about 10 years, or did I catch?
Yes, sir. And that, again, it's kind of a moving target. They've extended that. It may be more like 10 to 15 years
Okay.
for actual construction replacement of any lines that are shown on the inventory
Yeah.
for replacement,
Okay,
which could be, galvanized lines. And that would be on the city side and on the customer side.
right.
And if you just think about what all that entails, that's a sizable project.
Yes.
It will be, millions of dollars, worth of construction, possibly, 10
Did
million.
we kind of did a ballpark, I mean, if it was 2,500 or, I think that was low, but I mean, we were thinking, what, 6 to 8 million?
Yeah, it's likely gonna be, somewhere in the 6 to 10 million range, something like that. Cause you start thinking about tying into the main, replacing asphalt, replacing curb, sidewalks, landscaping, it gets very, detailed and costly, so. And the more effort that's put into the inventory, the better, which helps refine exactly how many need to be replaced and gets a better handle on that actual cost. Any further questions on that?
So if you guys are getting questions, I mean, and I've shared this with you, but I mean, we do have, on our website, we have a page set up under Public Works to go look at more information. It's, it's federal legislation and it's, we know it's confusing, but there is information out there. And that is where also, once we get that map out there, an interactive map, that way folks can go and see, click on their address and see, do I have, lead or galvanized, or what type do they have? Now, of course, people are, every citizen is welcome to contact a plumber and, just have them go out and do an inspection. And if they do, we would ask that they would let us know, was it, what type was it? Was it galvanized? Was it lead? Was it, copper, poly? That would be helpful for us if they would do that.
And I would think one of the end game goals would be to, all of the service lines in the system to be made of poly, kind of a plastic. We're getting out of the galvanized and any other type of materials, and hopefully by the time all this funding comes through and all this construction's done, we have, poly service lines on the customer side and on the city side. That'd be the end game, end goal, so.
Just need time and money.
It's time and money, that's all it takes.
All it takes.
Right.
Thank you, Sage. Appreciate it. All right, we'll go ahead and put the city manager's report outside.
So the only, I'll let Jessica cover the events. The only thing I did want to point out there and just remind you guys, we are having our first meeting of the Citizens Academy next Monday. It will be at different locations, and remember, this is a 9-month program, so we'll have the mayor and commissioners come in on that last one in September. That will be the one that will introduce you guys, and then, of course, the graduates will be here in October, recognizing them for completing that program. But I want to recognize our partners at the Texas State Technical College. I mean, some of them will be hosted there. Some will be hosted at the chamber. Some we're going to have interactive. It'll be on site at the fire station, at parks, public works. So we're pretty excited about this. We did get 15 applicants, participants, and then we went ahead because, the limit was gonna be 25, so we did put another call out there since we have room. And we did get 3 more today. So that's 18, and so that's great participation rate. And this is really good opportunity for people to learn how local government works, what we do, just all the different departments, meet people, eventually meet the mayor and commissioners at the meeting. So other than that, if you want to cover the rest of it.
As always, boat pickup is on the 3rd Thursday of the month, so on the 16th, residents can register online or call up to City Hall to do that. They do have to be on the list by the Friday before. And then on the 20th, city offices will be closed for Martin Luther King Jr. I don't think there was nothing going on in the chamber this month. I know, got your chamber banquet in February, so. Other than that, so it's Citizens Academy on the 13th.
All right, well, thank you, girls. Go to consent agenda. Any commissioner member may request an item on the consent agenda to be taken up for individual consideration. And we'll look at item 6 and 7. Then we'll have maybe someone make a motion on those two, please.
I move that we approve consent agenda items 6 and 7 as presented.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, guys. All right, go to our public hearing items, and we're gonna open this public hearing at 6:05 PM. Public hearings regarding whether the buildings on the following properties are dangerous building pursuant to chapter 5, article 1 of the Breckenridge of the Code of Ordinance. So we'll go to the first one, 1409 East Williams.
There's no speakers for 1409 East Williams.
I'm sorry, what?
There's no speakers for
Okay.
1409 East Williams.
All right. 1208 West Third.
We have Philip Smith for 1208 West Third. Philip, if, 3
Mr.
minutes.
Smith, you have 3 minutes on that, sir.
Thank you. Name's Philip Smith. I drove in from Oklahoma. It's been a long drive for me today, so ma'am, if you would please be patient with me. I'll try to be as brief as possible. What I'd like to have from the meeting and today, what I could do is, I just want to request that your determination regarding the property, 1208, is that it be postponed for 30 to 60 days so that I can actually put together a proposal to come in and present something to you that's legitimate. And the reason why I ask for that is because I literally just have two letters from the city here, and they're almost a year apart, and I was waiting for a reply from the first one. And so I contacted the city on the first letter, and I was waiting for the reply to come back to me, and then I have the second letter that's informed me that you're going to vote today for a final decision on the property. And I just would like to ask for an extension on that final decision on this property until I can, get some representation, get an actual proposal together so that I can, stop the abatement process on it. And one of the issues we had with the first letter that I had, I believe I called, one of the reasons why I called on it was that it said that there was no one there, and I'd like to say that there is someone that's living there on the property. My son lives there, and so that's one of the reasons why I called on the first letter. And what I was informed was, we didn't have that information. They didn't know. We'll get back with you and see what we got to do from that point. And so that's what I was waiting on. And then, I got this letter in December that says we're coming here to vote to do something with it. So I propose a little more time, if you guys would, on that property. That's all I'm asking for, so I can put a real plan together and present that to you guys, 30 to 60 days, so I can get bids and do the things that I need to do. The other thing I'd like to ask is since it is, I really have no debate on whether it's a safe property or not. I can't prove that or disprove it, which is what your second letter was wanting me to do in this meeting. So what I would request is we put no trespassing signs all around the property to try to keep ourselves from being liable. And I'd like to, I think if the legalities say that if I make it verbal to the public that there's no trespassing on the property, I'd like to invoke that so that nobody can trespass on the property legally, so that we're not held accountable for anything that may be happening on that property. My son's perfectly capable of keeping his own safety at hand, but the public and public officials, I can't guarantee that, so we put no trespassing signs up. And I'd like for that to go into play if that's possible, if that's how it works, or protect us until we can get it taken care of. I'm totally willing to comply. I'm absolutely willing to do whatever we need to do. I just need more time to do it correctly.
All right.
Yes. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Please vote that way on that score. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. 614 South O'Connor.
We have JD Wilson for 614 South O'Connor.
Mayor, commissioners, we do need to get rid of the property. We went and had a bid on getting rid of it, and it was like on $6,000 to get that done, so we didn't know if y'all had anything in place that y'all could So if y'all knew anybody, we might go another route. This was through Ray Dunn Construction, and this was like over a year ago. And probably by now, it's probably more than $6,000, but it is a hazardous place. It does need to come down. I agree with that, and we just need to get it down, but we're just trying to get a reasonable deal. And my daughter's, it's her property. She lives in Georgia, so I'm just representing her. So I do agree it is dangerous. It is a hazard. It does need to come down. And we've got one bid and we need to, I don't know if there's anybody else around Breckenridge or maybe a smaller construction people that may go in and tear houses down and get rid of them. But other than that, we'll have to go with, and Radon, to them, this was a small issue. I mean, y'all know what Radon does now in Abilene, Breckenridge and all over. And this was something like, we might not can get to it to know so and so and so and so. Since it was such a small issue, but yeah, it does need to come down. It does need to be cleaned up, so. And we just got to get another bid this year on it, and if, I'm trying to find somebody local, you can probably go to a backhoe and a dumpster and do that job instead of having Radon go with all their equipment and do that, so. But we all working on it.
Okay.
And go get it taken care of one way or the other. If we have to burn it down.
504 North Rose.
We have Dominga Baggett for 504 North Rose.
Sorry, I'm not good with public speaking. I do own the property on 504 North Rose Avenue, and I had moved out of it because it needed a lot of fixing. And also because of my kid's father, we had a whole bunch of problems. He was getting out of prison, so I didn't want any problems with him when he got out. So everything after that, he's willing to give me the house, so we're willing to fix it up. It doesn't look like that anymore. I went through it, fixed it up a whole bunch on the inside. We're fixing the side of it. We just need time to fix it. That's about it.
Okay.
I mean, I have the money together to fix it. I'm just needing y'all to work with me a little bit.
Thank
All right,
you, ma'am.
thank you.
All right. 302 North Graham.
We have Anthony Price for 302 North Graham.
That'd be me. I sure ain't no good at talking. Oh, well, as you know, Mr. Sims, I've been in that house for years.
Yes, sir.
I guess I've lived in it about 20 years. And then I met Rachel and we bought the house next door, 311 North Graham. And I didn't have the money to keep them both going, you know, so it kind of got away from me, as you can see. That's the backside, and that's the kitchen.
Yes, sir.
It's got, I mean, the way it looks bad, but there's a lot of good lumber in that house. And, I've been trying to give it away for somebody to take the lumber for what it costs nowadays. And the whole house is nothing but 2x6s, rafters, inner walls, everything. And I had recently, last week, gave it away to somebody who's gonna go ahead and tear it down. So after this cold spell or whatever, they're ready to tear it down. And then whatever's left, I'll have to get a dumpster or whatever, you know, rent a backhoe or whatever and do it myself or get somebody to do it. But it's a commercial property,
Yes.
good property. I mean, I've had the chance to sell it and stuff, but I don't want to sell the property. So I guess as soon as they can, after, you know, whenever they get ready, they'll start tearing it down and I'll make progress, I guess.
Okay.
You know, that's good enough.
All right.
But it's been, you know, there's a lot of good cedar, brand new cedar and everything in it. And I've been trying to give it away, and I mean, there's over $500 worth of cedar right there in the kitchen ceiling. And nobody for a long time has wanted it, and I don't know why, but I was gonna give it all away, but I got somebody now, so if that's good enough.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Our last was 209 West Hole.
There are no speakers for 209 West Home.
Okay. All right, no action taken at this time, and we'll close this meeting at 6:16 p.m. We'll go to our action items, item 9. Discussing necessary action regarding whether the buildings on the 6 properties are dangerous building pursuant to chapter 5, article 1 of the Breckenridge Code of Ordinance, and if so, discuss any necessary action regarding issuing orders to abate the building, dangerous buildings, or to accept conveyance of the properties from the owners.
So, Mayor and Commissioner, I would just refer you to your packets. They're in order. You can see when the first letter was sent. So the first one is 1409. That first letter was sent on the 23rd. I think it'd probably be good to take these one by one. But you can see that first letter, and I don't know if you have any comments, Malcolm or Christie, on this one. I think you might on a couple of the others, but.
You can't really tell on this one from this side, but the back side over here is what's really falling in on that one. That one to the left, you get, I think one more, well, I guess it is. The back end was worse than the front, but you see on the left, it's just completely hollow in there. And it's the back of this right here, it's completely caved in.
So the first notice went out the 23rd.
March 9th, 23.
Yeah. Okay, Mark, yeah.
And did we hear from anybody back then?
Well, it was actually full of trash, his whole driveway full of trash. And he got a roll-off box and got all the trash out of there, but he never really did anything to the house.
And we haven't had anybody respond from this next time.
So the next letter was sent December 16th of 24. And you have that in your packet, and then of course you got the pictures.
There wasn't anybody here to speak on 1408 East Williams or on West Third, right?
Right, for just 1409 East Williams, there was a exception.
I move to declare 1409 East Williams a dangerous building in order that the owner demolish the building within 30 days.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. None opposed. Thank you.
So on this next one, and this is 1208 West Third. I'm trying to pull up that letter. That first letter went out.
February.
February 29th.
Yeah.
February 29th.
No, February 29th of 24. And then the second one. So you can see, I'm not sure what the confusion was there. I don't know if you want to address that, but this is not, there's 2 properties. We do have a picture of the second one.
That's it.
There's 2 properties and 2 mobile homes. I believe the son lives in this one.
Yeah.
The second one. This is where the son lives. Yeah. So here's the one in question. This is the one, even though they both need to be addressed, this is the one that we're addressing right now because it's vacant. This is the one where the son lives. There is no water and no electricity over there. But again, this is actually the one in question. But you were, I mean,
I guess you had talked to Wesley after that first letter, and then he also talked to your brother Greg, and Greg was gonna talk to Zach and your son, and they were gonna try and work something out.
We're gonna try to get even a church group to help with the clean up the property, and then the police officer side, that probably wasn't the best idea. Cause the boy, I'm gonna call it boy, but your son, I guess he's got health issues or something.
Yes, he's mentally disabled. He absolutely is. Yeah, and this property right here, can I address everyone? Okay, this property right here.
if you will come to the podium.
Sure, so I mean, any of the questions you got that I might be able to address as far as what I know about it. This property right here, this one that y'all are talking about now, I would like to just do the same request as I did for the whole property. There's actually 4 lots, and there's two different trailers, and I think there's good structure. We could probably do some repairs. He probably
would be willing to, I mean, that's his storage building. You know, I know we look at things different than he does, but he works out of that building. You know, that's where he keeps his stuff, some of it, and those kinds of things. And, I know it doesn't look real appealing, but, you know, is it safe? I mean, that's the question, right? Is it safe?
Well, again, I mean, you know, if you look at the dangerous building violation checklist, I mean, most of these are checked. I mean, roof, ceiling, floors, walls.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys have all this, so I don't need to go through this, but I mean, staff has been unsafe.
and I'm not arguing that point. I'm just asking for an extension on the vote today so that I can actually address the issue with a little time to actually get it, to get a plan put together so that I can present it to you guys. I mean, what I have is a letter basically from December that says we're going to take this property at this meeting if we decide to, and that's why I'm here. I'm asking for an extension. If I had responses, I think a little sooner from the city, from the first letter.
Well, I guess that's the question, you had mentioned that before, so, I mean, we sent the first one out at the first of the year.
Yeah, and I responded in March, which is less than 15 days later, which is a requirement of the letter. I responded.
Yeah, you talked to Wesley.
Yeah, and exactly. Yeah, and then I think I talked to you.
And what was the conversation?
Well, I didn't
Same
have.
thing he's saying now, kind of.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then his brother Greg called.
Has anything been done since that time?
Well, we talked about doing some stuff with Zachary just recently, but you know, when I contacted the city in March and talked to Wesley, what the response was to me was that you guys will be back with me. Because he was unaware at that point that there was someone living on the property. Because it's even on the first letter, it says that, you know, there's no one there. And
Right, because just to be clear, we're not addressing one where your son lives
Mhm.
right now. I mean, that is on our radar, of course, but this is the one next door to your son, to the east. And
Okay,
this is the
well,
one in question.
That was not specified at all in any of the letters.
I don't think we knew exactly which one he was living in when the first letter was sent,
So-
and then you told us that.
Okay.
So specifics would have been helpful for that too.
When did the first letter go out?
February.
February 29th of
Mhm.
2024,
Okay, so we're coming up
almost a year.
almost a year
Yes, sir.
and nothing's been done.
Well, we've been literally waiting on a response. I mean, because of the fact that my son lives on the property, I think, and then Wesley, is Wesley in here?
Yeah, right.
Oh, so Wesley was like, okay, I wasn't aware of that. I think it's sort of how the conversation went. That may change things. This is kind of how the March response went.
My
On the
thought is,
telephone?
and I understand problems and family, that at a minimum, you were somebody you could hire, if nothing more, just to clean the front of that thing out. Just all the trash that's sitting out there, you know, you've had almost a year to do something, but nothing's been done. It's just like it was, probably worse now.
Is the trash what the?
All the junk.
Is the trash being
Yeah.
compliant?
You know, if it was just the trailer,
Part of it,
that's all
sure.
we had was just the trailer and all the other items were gone. At least be showing that somebody's trying to do something to it.
Well, I can address that. I can assure you we would try
Well,
to do something.
now that's okay there, but we're talking about a dadgum year. Talking about almost a year. You know, it wasn't, anyway, you know.
Well, and again, this is the one in question, but you keep bringing up the one with your son, but I mean, is it not a requirement to have water and electricity? I mean, that's a health and safety issue.
Well, let me ask the court, you guys, I'm thinking we're in court now, right? I feel like I'm on the stand. So let me ask you guys, what will you do with Zachary if you want to go in there and take the property and bulldoze it and invade? What are you gonna do with him? What's the
Well, the
plan?
one he's living in isn't, we're not addressing
Again,
that
that's
one
not
right
the
now.
one in question. I'm just I mean, that's what he's living in? That's the one he's living in?
The bigger one. Yeah.
Again,
Mhm.
the one in question is really not that one, but you brought it up, and yes, it's all on our radar, but we're prioritizing, we only have so many resources. So we're just trying to prioritize the ones that are vacant. We are going to start addressing that one, but we'll start with citations. Because there's several violations on that, and probably similar, I don't know if you want to talk about that, or our new code enforcement officer wants to talk to that, but you know, just the junk and the rubbish and, you know, all of that.
Sure.
Um,
So I've spoken with Zachary last week and we talked about getting some trash cleaned up on a roll-off box. We've done,
I'm sorry, exactly.
Zachary is my son who lives
Okay,
there,
I'm sorry.
you know, so we're making some headway on it. I mean, we're trying to make some progress, but again, you know, when it comes on the radar all of a sudden and literally, the last I heard about it before the December letter was March.
What's the maximum that we can extend? Or what's the maximum?
What's that?
What's the maximum that we can?
I can't advise you on that, cause that's out of my hands. Our time limit on our stuff is done. It's up to y'all, whatever y'all decide now.
So, okay, could we? Cause this says within 30 days. On, demolish within 30 days. Say if we extended it to 60, would that give you?
Cause that's
plenty
kind
of-
of what you,
That's
you've
what I'm
asked for
asking.
like an extension. just
That's what
to-
I'm asking for.
So,
I'm asking for you not to take a vote to demolish or do anything until 60 more days so that I can come and propose a plan. That's what I'm.
Propose a plan or 60 days to take action.
Yeah, those are two different things.
that's the
Well,
question.
so what I would like to do, if I have a plan and you guys have a plan that's better for Zachary and better for me,
We
then
don't
my
come
plan.
up with a plan.
Yeah,
It's
but
not
if I
our plan.
present a plan and you got, and your plan is to demolish the property is better than my plan, then by all means, I'll work with you on doing those things, but I wanna make sure that he's okay. And that I'm not being violated in my rights, and I wanna be able to make a plan and be able to look at all the costs and the planning itself, which is what your letter requires. Second
He's
letter
not
requires
living
that.
in that trailer, right? The one that we're speaking of?
Correct.
But he uses that trailer
I
just like
don't
his
care
own.
what he uses it for.
You
It
don't?
needs to go. It needs to go. That's my opinion.
My opinion is that it's his and mine, and that we have a right to have an extension so that we can repair that.
What were you
repair
doing
that.
all this past year, all these months?
I've been waiting on the city of Breckenridge to reply to the last phone call. That's what I've been doing.
Well, but you could have been doing more on that. You could have been cleaning it up.
Well, so the city could be helping out with all kinds of things too, which is what I'm asking for now. I'm asking for help. I'm not trying to debate.
understand.
I'm willing to do what's best, sir.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
is it all planned together?
Platted?
Uh-huh.
No,
You
there's
you
4
can
lots.
sign that property over the city, and we'll tear it down free of charge for you, and it won't be yours anymore, but it'll be done free of charge.
Okay, well, let me
2 of those lots.
consider that.
Still it too.
I would like to consider that, and I would like legal counsel to give me advice on what decision I make before you guys make the decision on that. That sounds like a great deal. Thank you.
We do offer
Can
that.
I consider that and have a time to reply to that with some counsel?
Would you need 30 days or 60 days?
I'm always willing to do more. 60 would be, way better.
Well, I mean, the thing is, first of all, you showed up tonight. So that's a plus. Regardless of all this timeline and everything like that, we can go back and forth all night. You showed up, your son, you said your son, he's, has some issues in that but we want to give him the right amount of time to get that addressed. I mean, get him a proper structure, something to live in. And if we got 30 days, if we give you 60 days, would that be enough?
Absolutely.
That's all I need to know, because, I mean,
And that's all I'm.
it's easy to sit and point fingers and all that stuff like that. I'm not here for that. We just want to give you the right amount of time to get everything going, but at the same time, if we're at the same spot 60 days from now.
Understand.
But like now, we can go back and forth, we mailed this and we mailed that and all this stuff. And we all know how the mailing system can be. It's not just Breckenridge, it's everywhere. So we're not gonna argue that, but if we give you an extension to get you a plan in place with you and your son and your family and get your property, would that be good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I move to declare 1208 West Third a dangerous building and order that the owner, oh crap, I can't do that. That's not the motion that I want to do. Can I withdraw that?
You did.
Let's see here, let me write this out right. I move that we allow 1208 West Third a 60-day extension in order to form a plan to address the property at hand.
A second.
We have a motion, a second, all in favor,
Aye.
all against, aye. It does pass 2-1. 60 days,
Yes,
sir.
sir, thank you.
614 South O'Connor.
So again, on this one, the initial letter. So we had, J.D. Wilson.
And Mr. Wilson,
They're agreeing it needs to come
just
down.
like we told him, if you don't no longer want that property, you can sign over the city and we'll tear it down for free.
Well, we do want the property.
Okay.
Because my daughter owns a lot, if y'all don't mind me to speak, she owns a lot next to it, and she wants to clean all that off and then put something nice up there. So, she lives in Savannah, Georgia, and we did get the notice was put on the door 1/26 and 24, but she don't live in town, so she didn't get that notice.
Okay.
And, she is a taxpayer, so y'all got her address.
Right, that's listed as 614 South O'Connor from the tax roll.
That's where she pays the taxes there,
Well,
but her
that's
house.
where they mail it also. That's where
Okay,
they
but she
mail
don't
it.
live there, so she wouldn't have got
Okay.
that. But anyway,
Okay.
it needs to come down, it's gonna come down. And, but, like you say, and then we got the one on, 12, 16, and 24. So she didn't get the one a year earlier. And she was in town on the holidays, went up there and said, Dad, they've got these notices on the door. So-
Yeah, that's why we put them on the door too, in case the letters do come back.
Okay, well, she, by her living in Georgia, she never got this one on 1 and 26.
Well, we'll need to make sure we get the
Yeah,
correct mailing
she
address.
may need to call the tax office and update her address,
Okay,
her mailing address.
so, and she didn't get the one on 26, but we did get it on the, I've got them both here.
Yeah, I
I
think
got
her
it.
letters come back.
And she just wasn't in town, so if y'all just give us a little time, but yeah, it did come down, it is dangerous, it needs to come down, and we're gonna get it down. We're not gonna try to fix it up, restore it, or nothing like that, it's coming down.
Do you have her address?
Yeah, I can give that to somebody tonight.
Yeah, I'll get it from
Yeah.
you before
And
you.
then, if we have another notice, send it to her, and she'll get it,
We'll do that.
because she told me to bring that up, and she didn't get the first one, and we did get the one in
Right.
December, so really she ain't had, but. And I live in Abilene, I don't live in Breckenridge, I'm over here, but I didn't get it either, and I've the one gave her the property, so. Yeah, if y'all just give us, and if y'all condemn it to 30 days, we'll go with that and get rid of it. But that's where y'all want to go.
Yeah, it's up to them.
Who is it that's looking at your property, helping demolish it, may be interested in this? Oh, it's for.
It's just a friend, he wants the lumber, basically for his boss is hiring him to take it down for the lumber. His boss likes to stack lumber and, kind of a hoarder. But, I don't care who gets it, but, I was up for yard of the month twice in that place when I was living in it. It was really nice, but like I said, I couldn't afford to keep it going.
Another,
Well,
you can,
if you, I think, Badger also demos houses.
Do they?
Yes, and Malcolm has their contact number, we can give to you
Let me have that
too.
number.
I don't know if he has it right
Whoever can do
now. I
it,
know we've got it in
is
our office.
Jackson also,
I'm sorry,
Jackson.
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 Construction. yeah.
So, I know you said you got a bid last year, so maybe.
Yeah, I'd be glad to get those numbers, and if we get the right number, we can come down in 30 days with it. Because we want to clean that up, so to make it look good in that part of town.
Do we want to do 30 days or do we want to, I mean, if we did longer, but it gets done cause I know how, 30 days, you can say 30 days, but then if you get someone to come out there, they've got to come out and then they've got to, survey it and make a bid and, all of that can take more than 30 days.
Well, let's just go with the same 60 he got, and we'll go.
Can we,
I'll report back.
let's just do that.
Yeah.
We're gonna word it the same?
Well,
that's-
he's
it
gonna do
sounds like
all
that's
of it. He
16
just wants a little
demolished.
extra time.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
I'm good.
all right.
I moved to declare 614 South O'Connor a dangerous building in order that the owner demolish the building within 60 days.
I'll take that. Second.
We have a motion, a second, all in favor,
Aye.
all opposed, aye. Motion passes 2-1,
Rob, Bob, just to clarify, you're opposed and nay vote?
opposed,
Okay.
no, I don't want to say anymore. Which one are we on now?
501 North Rose.
Okay. Nobody here to speak on that one. for you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dominga, was here on that, that initial letter went out 10/18/23. I mean, it's in your backup information,
In 23,
yes.
That's the picture that makes me the most nervous right there. That whole side of that building looks like it's falling in and coming down.
She did call us after that initial letter and told us that, I don't know, her husband was gonna be getting out of prison in March. I think she left, Blake said she left.
Oh,
And she said her husband was gonna be getting out of prison in March, so we let her wait till March and nothing's been done. March of 24. So were these taken 12/16?
We just took pictures there recently.
She said she's clean, it doesn't look like that anymore, but
She was
She
just
said
saying
the
everything
inside,
out
didn't-
front.
she said the inside didn't look the same, but she couldn't tell it from the outside.
but the letter went out in 23.
Appreciate you coming. Yeah, thank you.
All right, be safe.
Appreciate
Let's go, guys. What are you gonna do on this one? Nobody's here on it. 504 North Rose.
I've driven by that thing a million times, and it looks like it's about to just, like a stiff breeze would blow it over.
One of our issues on like this is just 3 blocks from the school. You know, kids get out of school, get off the bus,
Yeah.
they may wanna go play in there,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It has been open, but now she at least got the door locked.
You said her and her girls live in that?
no, they don't, they do not live there.
They don't live there?
No.
Okay,
She stated she owned the property, she does have the money to fix it up, she just needs the time, is what she stated earlier.
She said she's working on it, but we hadn't seen anybody get a building permit or anything like that either, so we don't know.
Just the one letter that went out in 23.
Yes, it went out October 23.
Forget it then. You need to make a motion to take it down and be done with it. That's up, however y'all, who wants to vote, I'm gonna tell you right now, my vote on the rest of these are to tear them down now. Cause they're gonna come back with it, we've done this before. Most of us been on here, we've had this come up several years ago, the same dang thing, and they come back a second time, 3 or 4 of them, and nobody had done nothing. But y'all, handle mine like you feel, no problems.
So Jackson and who else?
No, sir.
Badger.
Okay. We're getting ready on, okay.
I've got him in the extend that we'll see there.
You don't have one.
Does he still get on line too?
Ready for I mean, I think that would be a change. So, when we say, hey, we want this down in 30 or 60 or whatever days, y'all go back at that time and see if it's.
Right, if it's done or not.
And
If it's
then
not
we'll-
done, it's added to our list to tear
And
down.
then we'll take it to the next step, which
then-
is put it on the demolished.
And when it's demolished, we send them a bill for our labor and all our costs. And if it doesn't get paid, we'll place a lien on it.
I mean, she's requesting time to fix it up, but supposedly has the money and is wanting to fix it up. How do we word that to say like,
I think one of the things it says repair on there, doesn't it? 30 days to repair, maybe? Does it say that on the order?
Well, the order to make can be different,
Okay.
different
Yeah.
scenarios.
Yeah.
well,
So
say
repair
if
instead of to demolish.
we did that. And you go back within that time frame and you do see improvement. where do you go from there?
But it's not complete, is that what you're
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
If they're making progress, our past, actions has been to let them make progress, but you know, you
There's gotta
can't
be-
take for 10 years.
there's
though.
gotta be
That's why
significant-
we
Yeah,
won't get it.
I understand that.
If it hadn't been for the letter sent out now, nothing would change on any of them, and you go, you know, nothing's gonna
They
change
just
on any of
they've
them.
been ignoring this, yes.
It's gonna be just like a year from now, we come back, same thing, except probably on the ground, you know, all of these. All right, guys.
So, I mean. You know, time to make significant progress,
Yeah,
or
I say.
how we
Which one
work
we
that.
at?
504 North Rose.
I move to declare 504 North Rose a dangerous building in order that the owner demolish the building within 60 days.
Demolish.
Demolished, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Rob, is that what you're saying?
I'm just reading, I mean,
Well, you can say repair, I
You
think.
can say repair.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure,
to
whichever one you wanna
repair
do.
or to repair within 60 days. or
Repair,
whatever.
what happens when you try to.
What date it?
Script.
Yeah, today.
Don't ever work.
Wait a minute. So his motion is
No,
to take it down.
I think he's reading it out loud to
Yeah.
himself. I don't think he's officially voting yet.
All right. Have a motion.
And I know, I know that motion. He was just reading it out loud to himself.
Okay,
He's making a
okay.
motion.
Hit him for me.
He's,
Okay, let me make sure.
Thank you.
We're at 504 North Road. I want to make sure I'm getting this right.
He's talking to himself.
Move to declare 504 North Road a dangerous building in order that the owner repair the building within 60 days.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Right, go to 302 North Graham.
Me.
So you said that
And
you got someone there to tear it down, but after the cold spell, so
But my yard has been maintained. I got a letter last year to start cleaning up the front of it. It's by East Elementary, and I think that's the reason everything's going down. But I've been making improvements on the front yard, I gave the railroad ties away. They've been taking them out of there, been cutting grass, trimming trees. So the front of it is not a disaster.
yeah, when did you get your first letter from the city, sir?
9/6/23.
I'm sorry, when?
9/6/23, so September 6/23.
But I've been cleaning up, cutting, that's just the worst part of the whole house. That's just the roof. See, the backyard's clean, everything's clean.
Okay. What do you want? What are you hoping to get from us tonight?
Well, I'm just hoping to be able to just let them tear it down for the lumber, and whatever's left, I'll clean it up. And I'll stay steady on it the best I can. My physical problems, I've had 2 back surgeries, I've got
Okay.
titanium in my back. I have balance problems, so I'm not able to get over it. I'd have had it done already if I had not my
No,
problems.
just what,
maybe instead of
If he
30
turns it
days, a
over
little bit
to-
longer.
Yeah,
It's gonna
for
have to be
sure.
longer.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be longer. But it'll, just like the repair, or just like the cleanup on the front I've been doing. I keep my yard, you can see, I keep it cut, I keep it nice.
okay, we understand what you're
Yeah,
saying.
so I'm not,
We're
it
not
ain't a
worried about the
disaster.
yard in that, sir, but I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying.
It's not a disaster.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, you think 60 days would be
Yeah,
good?
I'll make improvements in 60 days. It'll be on the ground if I have to do it myself.
So would we declare it?
Yeah, I mean, I think
I just can't.
we're still,
afford to
because he's got a guy on the hook to tear
everything.
it down.
So we
He
just,
just needs a little bit more time.
so we just basically the same thing, just extend, just do 60 days instead of 30.
Yeah, I'll show
We're still
improvements on it.
declaring it a dangerous building.
I mean, we're tearing it down, right? We're demolishing it.
Progress, not improvement.
And I'm with him, but I have a question. We can show improvements, but it doesn't have to be all gone, right? I mean, as long as we're
As long as
showing.
we're
Y'all are in the
taking it down
process
and
of
showing
tearing
that
it
it's
down.
coming
Yes.
down. And when all the lumber's gone, whatever they want, I'll get a backhoe and the rest of it'll be gone.
So it is still demolished.
Exactly.
It's still-
It's all coming down.
90 days to demolish it, if you need more time?
I mean, They've got a guy already fixing to come in and get it, so that's.
Yeah, the metal roof.
It's just the
everything.
cleanup, it's gonna be, take
Yeah,
time.
yeah, we know.
I'm good with that.
We-
I mean,
we've
you
had
have a
some that's
plan.
been torn
That's the
down and
thing.
left
And we
there
live right next
for
to it, so
years,
there's no kids
so
gonna
that's-
be in it, and it's locked up right now for what it's worth.
I mean,
Okay, y'all
you
got a
have a
motion
plan.
on that
That's the,
then?
that's the thing
Exactly.
about it. That's,
I always did, I just ain't physically capable of doing it, and the money,
yeah, I'm gonna probably need help. getting up out of
$1,000
this
for a
shit.
dumpster. Oh my God.
So, yes, I understand.
But I will completely
No,
make,
you're good. That's the thing about it is that, a lot of times we have a lot of people that come in and they wait till the last second. But you have a plan. Yes, there's a cold stamp coming and the world is preparing for it. I mean, I understand.
and I've been making
So I'm good
improvements
with
in the
that.
front by taking everything out of
So,
it and
yeah.
getting ready, so.
I'm good with that.
It's over 100 years old, it needs to come down.
I move to declare 302 North Graham a dangerous building in order that the owner wants the building within 90 days.
That'd be way long enough.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor,
Aye.
all opposed, aye. Motion passes 2-1.
You gotta tell your clock's ticking.
Always has been when I got the first letter.
No, I'm just saying, no, you're gotta come do his stuff.
I'll run it back on myself before
We
I
good.
let it go
I know,
too far.
we might tell them.
No
209 North Graham.
209 North Graham.
West Tulsa, I'm sorry, West Tulsa.
No speakers on that,
We need to sign anything.
that letter went out.
I will tell you, Bob, that we got that letter back in the mail one day last week. And, they did put
Excuse me.
they did put a forwarding address on there. I took it to the post office, asked why they didn't forward it. They said the time had expired already, that they had changed their address over a year ago. So they did not get the letter. They did get no, that was the. Let me see if they got
They're
their,
gonna respond from-
they got their first letter we sent back in May 2024. He signed for that one,
Oh, okay.
but I guess he's moved since.
And it's,
I don't know.
it's Jimmy is Claude, his dad died and left this to him, cause he's the only child in the family. And he's moved, we didn't know it, but if they don't change on tax roll, we don't know where to send stuff to.
May we be excused there from our business done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it.
All right, bud.
Let's go.
And this is a property
Thanks.
that I honestly think as soon as he gets
Oh.
pressed, he will sell it to either already dies or First Baptist, right there.
All right, guys, one more, what y'all think?
I move to declare 209 West Tulsa a dangerous building in order that the owner demolish the building within 30 days.
You have a motion and a second to go ahead and demolish the building, all in favor? Aye. None opposed, all right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You get one left. Item 10, discussion and necessary action regarding approval of an interlocal for fire services with Stevens County.
So Mayor and Commissioners, as you know, we've had the meeting with commissioners on all these interlocals. The only change on this one is that we're adding a clause that Stevens County will reimburse the city 50% of overtime personnel costs capped at the city's budgeted amount for overtime for the given year. So for this year example, the overtime is 46.5. So that would mean that the county would reimburse the city 23,500. While basically they want to cap it at 25,000. So, which right now would pay for that. Now, if it goes over that, even though we have a budget of 46, if it goes over that, they said that they would look at that, there's extenuating circumstances. But that's kind of written in, that's the change to this contract, just so you know.
Any questions, guys? Motion?
I move to approve the updated fire services interlocal agreement with Stevens County and authorize the city manager to execute the document.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. None opposed? Thank you. Item 11, discussion and necessary action regarding approval of an updated interlocal for the municipal court services.
So if you recall, we're coming back to you because you guys approved it as we discussed during that meeting that we had. But they, wanted a change on there and they wanted, instead of us paying the county for, the JP, and that's gonna be $7,200 annually or $600 per month, paying the county that, they want the city to pay him directly. Which the staff doesn't have an issue with that. So that's the only change, from what you guys had talked about before and approved it last time.
I'm going to approve the updated municipal court services in a local agreement with Stevens County and authorize the city manager to execute the documents.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. None opposed? Thank you. Item 12. Discussion and necessary action regarding approval of an interlocal for shared use of the Stevens County Law Enforcement Center building.
So on this one, nothing really changed from what we talked about during the meeting. So what this updates the interlocal with is that, and these are changes, but we talked about them all. The city will pay for any costs associated with any increase in bandwidth for the use of the internet. So we're not paying for that right now, but if there's an increase in the bandwidth and that precipitates the cost to the county, that's the delta that we would pay. The county will allow us, we used to have 8 beds, they'll allow us 2 beds to be made available for the Breckenridge Police Department to house Class C misdemeanors. And then the city will pay $50 a day per day for each prisoner housed over the 2-bed limit. And then finally, the city will be responsible for all costs associated with out-of-county housing of city prisoners, including transportation costs, medical cost of guards, cost of housing charged by neighboring counties. So those are the updates to this interlocal, LEC interlocal.
Any question, guys? Motion in, please.
I move to approve the updated LEC building interlocal agreement with Stevens County and authorize the city manager to execute the documents.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. None opposed? Only thing I'll say to that, all the 40 years I've worked the highways, I heard that black and white. I put more people in this jail than anybody ever has and brought more money into the county and a lot to the city than all the officers and SO put together. They did a total. I'm just bragging on myself. County Judge Fuller. Well, the secretary, years ago, about before I left, they got the books down. I myself put in almost $2 million in this county and the city. So there's plenty of work out there, Chief. There's no, and you got some guys that are good working too.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
We'll aim for that.
Okay, now what about my raise as mayor? All right, 13, discussion and necessary action regarding approval of interlocal for animal control services with Stevens County.
So, we talked about this and, they were kind of going back and forth. What they came back with, we had discussed, the county paying the city $50,000 annually. They came down on that to $30,000 annually. And that's for us to, house, take care of, animals in the unincorporated area. But it has to come from the sheriff. So that is part of the agreement. It also, though, does talk about that Stevens County will be responsible for the veterinarian expenses, medication, sterilization, euthanization for all animals that are placed in the animal shelter that from the county. So, there's that.
Is that good? I mean, do we come out all right on that when it's all said and done?
Well, I mean, I
Best
think
you
there's
can figure.
gonna be a cost. I mean, we have, quite a few dogs that
Yeah.
come in from the county and, we talked about at the meeting, and it's like, when we crack down, do people abandon the dogs outside or these just, who knows where they're coming from? You know, with the goal, I think, you know, the city, it's generous for the county. I mean, the city's gonna incur a cost, which is our, you know, budgetarily every year, you know, it will cost us. But, I mean, this is, I think, overall pretty good for the entire county, to be able to try to get a handle on the issue, you know, working together with our partner.
Okay. Guys,
I move to approve animal interlocal with Stevens County and authorize the city manager to execute the documents.
Second.
motion second, all in favor? Aye, none opposed, thank you. Go ahead, you.
Well, Mayor, I would suggest, if you don't mind, we do have, the engineer, Sage, is he still here? He's driving farther than Wade. So if we can take item 15.
16,
15,
15, okay, got you.
so we can let him get out of here, he's gotta drive back to Abilene.
I thought you were gone already.
No, sir, I'm back there, preparing, so.
Well, he's gotta introduce
Okay.
the item, sorry. So item 15.
All right, I'm sorry, I read discussion any necessary action regarding approval of street improvements, project phase 1 and change order number 1. Go ahead, say.
So this change order basically rectifies the contract with some changes that occurred during construction. Construction is going great. Streets improvements are looking good. We have 2 contractors working, Spraydon and Bonke. Bonke's doing the concrete work. Spraydon's doing the hot mix work. So these, once we bid the project, bids came in favorably. So we knew that we wanted to add some additional work, with the funds available. And so we're looking at, per the contract, allowable with council or commission approval up to additional 25% of the contracts. We're looking at hopefully adding in additional 600,000 worth of paving or additional modifications. So some of these outline like curb and gutter that need to be repaired as we're going down the street paving. There are some areas in curb and gutter that have issues. There's just miscellaneous things like an area where the dumpster pads were out in front of the commercial area. Dump trucks are over there and it just eats that away as they lift the heavy containers. So we put concrete there as well. So anyway, we're making improvements to the street as we go.
Understand. So
yeah.
this is that I compiled in your agenda commentary what those changes are, and just to show, I mean, keep going, but
Yeah.
I did want to direct you to your agenda commentary. But as he was saying, these are all pretty much driven by, you know, the city and the engineer being on site and what's out there.
Correct. And it's a large packet just detailing all the information. And I won't go over every single thing. It's all detailed and very, very detailed. So what we're proposing here is kind of rectify the contract with the work that's been added to the contract. So this is an increase of $214,593.98. And like I said, with our allowable increase in the contract, typical 25% provision, that we have about 600,000. So this will put us, you know, not even halfway there of what we have available to spend or add to the contract if the commission so decides. But change order 1, like I said, we are recommending approval of that. This time it does not add any additional time to the contract, but it does increase the contract amount by $214,593.98.
So you're going from the contract price was 2.405 to 33.20. And you're gonna be at 2,619,827.18. So,
And also keep in mind, you know, this is essentially phase 1. We are currently under design or in the planning portion for phase 2, which we hope to be advertising for bidding in the springtime for construction in summer. So more and more street improvements to come.
yeah. So as a reminder, initially, Sage, you were thinking, even on this phase 1, we were thinking, maybe this was gonna be about 5 million, but the bids came in and we had flexibility in how you quantified.
And actually, you know, we had to reduce the amount because we were in a hurry to try to get into the paving season. So we reduced that amount a little bit, knowing that we still had that for phase two. So, there's quite a bit more paving. And also, let me remind you, the water development board project that we talked about earlier, those are gonna replace some water line sections that we will then follow up with a phase two paving to then come finish the street out. So all this is lining up, according to plan.
And this was as an overall reminder on the cost. This was coming from CO funds. We have about 7 million, that 7.4 million that was gonna be dedicated towards streets, because some was public works and some was parks. So phase one is if this change order goes through, it'd be 2.6, and then phase two, would then, it could be 3 million, I mean.
Yeah.
It'd be the rest of those projects, and the timing would somewhat depend also, because some of those are gonna be paving over roads that have water line replaced.
And just one other thing, we're trying to get as much paving done as possible, but if you see like that, one of the items is Hope Street. Once we got into construction, the curb and gutter, I don't know when it was put in, it was probably in the 20s, 30s, and it's concrete paving underneath, but the curb is not even attached to the concrete itself. It's not dialed in like it normally is. So while we're there's paving money to address all that. Let's fix it right. Most likely paving's not gonna happen on that street again for other than maintenance, but not true construction for decades. So let's fix it right while we're there. So that's one of the items we talked
Well, and
about.
that's the majority actually, because that was 2130
Right,
of
yeah,
that 214.
yeah. And you'll even see sections of the curb, the top of the curb right now are almost pushed out in the street. It's just, we need to fix it. We need to fix it. Any questions?
It's only money.
I'm really not sure how, I'm not sure how y'all determine that we need street improvement.
I heard that was
I'm still confused now.
I heard that was a concern and a desire to get those improved. So we're doing the best we can. Contractor's doing a great job. It's looking really good. So trying to make a dent.
I move to approve change order number 1 for the street improvement project and authorize the city manager to execute the documents.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. None opposed?
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Good.
No, thank you.
We'll go back to.
We can go back to, item
14. Discussion, any necessary action regarding consideration of obtaining a feasibility study on proposal to address fire station living quarters for employees.
So I just want to kind of lay this out, as a reminder. We've gone through the whole project. We probably started this, I created this back in the spring, with an ad hoc, committee made up of committee members. And the challenge that we were trying to address, again, with the strategic plan, investing in our employees, is trying to address the living conditions of our firefighters. So there's health and safety issues where they're living right now. So with those committee members, and that was Kevin Simmons, Lee Olson, Wade Smith, who was here. Greg Akers initially was part of that. The county judge was part of that. Of course, Malcolm was a part of that. Wes, Christie, Jose, Garcia.
Stacy's going there too.
So and we looked at a lot of different options. Just as a reminder, we came down to a 3-phase approach for improving, but we looked at several different options. Again, time being critical, a critical issue, and then we knew we had limited funds. So we came to that. We had consensus, but there still was concern. And I think, as the bottom line is, I think the committee is asking, they're concerned about the validity of these numbers. They're not hard numbers. And I would agree, they're not hard numbers. You can't get hard numbers until you actually go for an RFP, RFQ, whatever that is. However, just as a reminder, we did go out and we got bids. So to demo the existing fire station, we did get bids, one from Radon and one from Jackson. One was 200 and one was 150. We believe that, Radons, they were including demoing the foundation. Part of the reason that's lower than you might think is because, we own the building. We don't have the cost of, disposing the demo. So we can take that demo from here to our monofill, where somebody else, if they were demoing a building, they'd have to go to Abilene. Those hauling costs would add up quite a bit. So that's one issue. And then we did just use an industry standard when we were looking at, do we remodel the existing fire station? 3 years ago, the prevailing, rate was $345. Using $345 a square foot, you're looking at 10,000 square feet. That's where we come up with the 3.2 million. We said 3 to 5 because when you're demoing, when you're looking at remodeling an existing building, there's a lot of unknowns. So that's, I think it's in the ballpark, but I think there's concern that maybe we haven't done due diligence. We did get 3 different figures on a replacement, a modest metal building as well. So, we did get bids. It wasn't, but when you're looking at trying to get hard numbers, it's a continuum. So getting right now, what they're asking is to consider doing a feasibility study. There is a architect firm out of Abilene, who is saying they would charge $12,000. We did not budget for that, but we do have it in our fund balance, 12,000. That would give us a better, clear picture of where we're at if we're gonna demo or remodel the fire station. So there's a lot of information here, but the bottom line is, I think the committee is saying, well, before we tear down the building, why don't we get a feasibility study? So, the options before you are continue to do a feasibility study. Of course, we don't have 2 members here. Tabling is an option. I would just remind you guys that timing is critical. I do want to ask, Wade to speak, and I communicated what the concerns were adequately. And then I would like, Wes to speak as well, so you can kind of hear from him, before you guys decide how you want to, Wade, if you want to kind of come up.
Okay.
If I left anything out, please feel free to do that.
So the firm is out of Wichita Falls. It's Gary Baker and Associates, architects. They've got a subsidiary company, Gary Baker Construction. So they've got hand in glove in this, if you will, and they do a lot of work in this type of projects. And so things of note, projects that they're doing, they've just done a new fire station for the city of Iowa Park. They're doing reworks in Alney, Seymour, Haskell. So they work in our area, if you will. So they've got costs. And they've raised enough. I'm a volunteer fireman as well, and I know the conditions in that fire station. I don't live there. I don't have to deal with that. And I'm thankful for that, bluntly, because I do share the concern about the living condition. The concern is Gary Baker Associates and the construction company have raised enough doubt in some of the committee members' minds because they think that this can be done at $200 a square foot, and they've got real world examples that they're doing it. What they'd like to do is come in and do an interview, find out all the moving pieces in the building, what the issues are, what the concerns are, what the footprint needs to look like, what the growth pattern for the fire station will or won't be, things like that. And then come back and do what's called a test fit, do a conceptual layout of how to do it. Now, they've gone and found the original plans for the original building in a UT archive, in the University of Texas archive. So they've got the plans for it. So they know what it looks like, and they know structurally what it can be. I'm not advocating for them one way or the other, but like I said, they've just raised enough questions in our mind. We'd like to see a little more information to see before we tear down the existing building, in the event that that could be done cheaper and if it will fit the needs. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul, let's keep going. I have zero issue with the temporary living facility that's being put out there. I think that's a phenomenal idea. We've been wholeheartedly for that, but they've raised enough question in our mind. We've had a hard time getting everybody together to explain why it's taken us this long to get to this point. So I want to deflect for Cynthia that we're the ones that came up with this and pushed against this a little bit. So you would understand where this has come from. Questions, any blanks I can fill in at this point?
Well, Wes, do you want to come up and then if you guys, I mean, if you don't mind sticking around, wait.
No,
I appreciate you being here.
I would just say that, I don't think there's been a lot of questioning what the firefighters think about it. I think there's been frankly some, contempt to the firefighters' opinions, stuff like that, certainly not from anybody. The firefighters are on board for tearing that building down. There's guys that have been 20+ years in a building that's with roof leaks and window leaks and plumbing and bathrooms with no hot water in them and mice and, so you can absolutely, we're not against the feasibility study. We're concerned with what the feasibility study leads to. We can absolutely put the firefighters back in a building that's halfway finished with no plan or funding to finish the building out. And that's where, I've told these guys for a year, you're not gonna get stuck in temporary housing forever. And now they're coming back saying, okay, is this what's gonna happen? We're gonna get stuck in temporary housing forever. So I just don't want to be a liar made out of me when we come back and stir everything back up and end up with something we can't finish and we can't do. Like I said, we're not against the feasibility study, but I just want to be on the record that the firefighters are all on board for seeing that building gone. They've been there, they do live in it, they do deal with the issues, and they have to deal with the issues after we do whatever we do. Where everybody else gets to, okay, we're done, wash our hands of it, they're the ones that are gonna be in it every day. So I would hope that our opinion would have some weight.
The last work done on that building was in '84. When I first started being a firefighter, they remodeled upstairs, put old wood paneling. Since then, everything's just been a patch job. And Bob, even you come up there and see how it was back then when you always come in as a fireman.
Yeah.
And that was the old city jail.
Yeah.
And it's not made to be a fire station. We just made it work for all the years.
Right.
I was going up there in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
See, I see both sides of it, cause the history buff in me doesn't like to see old buildings get torn down. It's a beautiful building. My granddad worked out of that building, it's sentimental to me. But I work in the school district and we deal with the same thing in our elementary schools that are 65 years old. And I know the pitfalls of trying to compare, well, do we renovate a building like South Elementary or do we start from scratch with a building like South Elementary? It's the same with the fire station.
One thing I can say over all the years, and I mean, not just these new guys now, but like David Easley, Will Warren, some of those back in my time. If you ever took a vacation from there and wasn't up there for a week, you felt better, like your lungs cleared. I think there needs to be some kind of health testing involved in that too, possibly, because you're sitting there on top of your trucks that you run about an hour a day and you're going to get diesel exhaust upstairs. You can't seal it out without putting in a high-dollar back system. And that's part of the issue with that too.
That's kind of the feasibility study and the idea of renovation. How is that? The figures that they've been giving y'all, is that kind of coming in and saying, okay, we're gonna redo, we're gonna rip this thing down and basically the facade will stay the same and everything else is gonna be brand new on the inside?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think what they said was, initially, they were saying, okay, we would recommend, a phased approach like you're doing. But money wise, you could look at just doing the bottom part of the building. Now, that's true, but you still have to seal the envelope, right? So the walls, which are porous, the windows, The roof, it is a flat roof, but, and it has been, I mean, the insurance has redone that because of the hailstorm, but it continues to have problems just because it is a flat roof. So, you know, so even though they're not saying do the top floor, just do the bottom floor, I think is what they were talking
Yes,
about.
correct.
Okay, so, but they would also look at, they'd have to seal the envelope with everything.
And we talked to 3 contractors, just kind of told them the square footage that we're looking at, which is around 5,000 square foot, which the bottom floor is about 5,000 square foot in that building. You know, their building costs, they said, yeah, 5 to 750, depends on how nice of, you know, fixtures and things like that, you want coverings, you know, stuff like that. So we didn't get it right, but that's what they said, yeah, that's the range you'll be looking at. It's like building a barn dominium, you know?
On the metal building.
Yes, on the
just to
metal
be clear.
building. Mhm.
But that's why we put, you know, 500,000 to 1.5 million on the metal building.
I mean, I have a feeling that even if we did the feasibility study, they would come back and be like, this building is so far beyond repair that you're right, you're better off just taking the dynamite to this thing.
I'm just worried about the age, like I said, the age, like Malcolm was talking about back in mainly just the age and the building that was when it was constructed back then, looking at everything that is updated, because I'm sure there's like we're abatements with asbestos and stuff like that. I mean, I'm just assuming that because every building that age in Breckenridge had it.
Right.
Our elementary schools, you know, when I was there, we walked on those floors and they had to tear that down and, you know, all of the things that came with it. So that's my concern, but also, you know, I mean, the feasibility study, I can see that side of it too. But I'm also, I mean, the councilman in me wants to, you know, turn over every rock and the Rob in me is like, why waste 12 grand for them to tell us you need to tear it down?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm walking that fence, but I also don't want to, I know these guys have been wanting that improvement for a while. You know, I really would like to see Greg and Blake here. I mean, earlier today, and I'm thinking about my gut feeling was like, oh, we're just gonna table it, but then I know, you know, Wes and Malcolm and his cats over there, they want to see some stuff done.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of along that same line too. I mean, why does this have to be so hard?
Yeah.
I mean, you want, I mean, it's. I mean, the end result is improvement. I mean, we're just trying to get there. Yes.
How you gonna get
that daily?
It's just that which route are we gonna take? You know, do we want to go through Lubbock to get there, or do we want to go through Mooring to get there?
And I will say, we're just happy to see you working towards it, because it's been a long, I mean,
Never been a great
this can has been kicked down the road for long before I was here. And so the fact that we're proud that that we're working towards it. I mean, we know it's a process, it's not a.
Well, and I appreciate Wade, you know, being a part of it too. I mean, that's the thing about it is that, you know, it used to be everything was thrown in the lap and then somebody just made a decision and then you just went with it. And then 6 months later, you're like, oh my gosh, we should have did this. So I you know, applaud Wade for just being a part of it and wanting to, you know, to be a part of the progress as well. That just shows, you know, you've got community wanting to come in and be a part of it too. I mean, it's a group effort. It's just a matter of, you know, what do we want to do to get there?
And part of our future plan on this is we're gonna make it accessible and feasible that if we do hire women firefighters, we can do that right now. Right now, we have no way of separation. And, you know, that's something that may come down in the future. We're planning for that. We're not just putting a Band-Aid to fix today. We're looking into the future too. And even for growth, it may not happen, but we're gonna make it where it can be expanded.
So is it worth $12,000 for peace of mind, one way or the other, is the other question. You know, like, because we've got a committee of people who've come together and they obviously think that there's some validity to the idea.
I'm putting my trust with Cynthia and them and what all the work they've
Right,
done.
they've done everything, I mean, they just.
Well, I mean, truth be told, I mean, if time and money, we talked about that earlier, were no option, I mean, I think everybody agrees having a feasibility study
Yeah.
would be better, especially, and you know, to remind you guys, tearing down the building was not initially talked about. I mean, we were coming to building the metal building, but leaving the empty building there. But then it was talked about, well, that is a liability to the city.
Yeah, what's the difference between
could
that
we-
and the Y or any of these substandard homes?
Right.
Continues to deteriorate.
Right,
So
so I think
what-
we just have to come back to, you know, the time issue, and having them out is good, because it is a health and safety issue for the firefighters. It
What
has
would be the timeline on a feasibility study? Did they?
Well, they say about 30
They
days.
said that once the contract's executed, they have it back within 30 days. They would literally be on site the following week to start the interview process, to find out all the moving pieces in that building and what the conditions and concerns are.
Mhm.
So they would have a report back within 30 days.
So it's about a month.
Okay, I mean, so essentially, if we did that, we're still not totally finalized, so we could have everybody back and take one last look at it. I mean,
Oh, yeah, you would have, again, when it comes to figures, right, hard numbers, which is the concern of the committee. You know,
would the feasibility study help with that?
it helps, but again, I just want to be full disclosure. I mean, you get what you pay for. You can pay 12,000 for a feasibility study. I mean, I was in Rome and we paid 50,000. You know, so you kind of get what you pay for. We do have the funds available in fund balance, okay, but remember, the cost of the temporary housing and if we went with the demo, that was coming from fund balance. So keep that in mind. It is healthy. I mean, we're gonna get a report next month on what that is, but, you know, we are at a good position there. But we are at that place. I would say, I wouldn't table it. I mean, I understand that, I'm from a staff perspective, because that's gonna.
Well, no, I mean,
Tabling it is a 30-day.
Yes.
Stay.
We'll be in our temporary house probably within 30 days. They should be finished with it by the end of this week or.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm getting the information that I'm getting the information that I was concerned about, and so I'm you know, I'm prepared for that. I just want to see those guys get in something that is good for them, but I'm also wanting to have a facility for our first responders that our community can stick their chest out and say, hey, look, we're taking care of the people who are taking care of us. You know, so that's kind of, but I'm one of those that I don't like to, you know, I don't want to drag our feet. I'll just, do we need to move forward?
Man,
Make a motion, whatever way you're gonna go. How you gonna go?
Well, somebody's gotta do it, might as well be me. Yes. I move to approve ad hoc committee recommendation for a feasibility study to reevaluate, approve phase 2 and phase 3 and authorize the city manager to execute the document.
I'll second.
Right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Aye. Passed 2-1.
Here's a piece of my mind.
We did 15, we'll move to 16. Discussion regarding upcoming solid waste contract request for proposal. This is no action, discussion only.
This was gonna be a part of my city manager, report. I wanted to let you guys know, the contract for, solid waste is coming up July at the end of July. Right now, it's an 8-year contract, and talking to, Joe, our representative with Republic, I think the reason that happened, normally they are 5-year contracts. But the reason it happened was there was an update, making, for them to kind of gain back, cost expended for a lighter in that contract. So that's why it's 8 years. I just want to put that out there. You know, it's up to you guys. I mean, if you guys tell me not to do an RFP, I would recommend that we do go out for an RFP. I mean, I didn't know somebody was gonna be here. But just, you know, to keep that cost low, keep it competitive. If you do a 5-year contract, which, you know, when we put out an RFP, that's what we would recommend, that it would be 5 years and it will be renewable, for another 5 years, unless you guys want to go out then. But then, you know, 10 years would be understandable before you went out again, just to keep that, that price competitive for the citizens. We can certainly, I mean, I've given you the sample timeline of what I was looking at for that, and it was, we have to give a 90-day notice. And, I have talked with Joe, our representative, actually, when I first got here, that, you know, my inclination is that I was gonna recommend that we go out for an RFP. And I talked with him again, and he understands that. But this is a general timeline. You have to give 90 days before the contract renews, and that's July. So that's where I came up with this April 1st to notify, and then advertise the RFP April 9th. Bids would be due on the 2nd. The award would be made on the 3rd. And then the transition would be June, July, if applicable. So if a new company got it, you'd have 2 months. So to his point, we could move all that up. That's not a problem to move all that up a month. To ease the transition, potential transition, if that would be applicable. I don't know if you guys have any questions, any thoughts on that. I'm assuming that you guys would want to go out for a bid, so that's how I was proceeding.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah,
Sounds legit to me.
yeah, I think that's gonna be another hot button. I'm going off in May.
No other questions right now then?
No, I'm good.
Discussion only.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Cynthia. 17, discuss any necessary action regarding the second reading of ordinance 2025-01, Texas Gas Service Franchise Agreement Renewal.
We already read this last
Mhm.
month too, yeah. I move to approve the second reading of ordinance 2025-01, Texas Gas Service Franchise Agreement Renewal as presented.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. None opposed? Thank you, guys. Anything you want to see them put on the next agenda at this point? Nothing to mind right now? Sure.